Imagine standing on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River, a waterway that has carved the history of our nation for thousands of years. You expect a familiar, steady current flowing south, a symbol of constancy in an ever-changing world. But then, the impossible happens. The water stops. It churns, defies gravity, and begins to surge backward, pushing north against its own nature. This is a scene from a Hollywood disaster movie. It is a report that has shaken residents and scientists alike, and it is not an isolated incident. At the very same moment, thousands of miles away in the rugged expanse of the Wyoming Rockies, hikers froze in disbelief. The ground beneath their feet, solid, immovable stone, began to rise and fall rhythmically, as if the mountain itself were breathing. There were no earthquakes recorded, no tectonic plates shifting violently, just a silent, pulsing movement that defied geological explanation. From the orange-hued skies lingering unnaturally over the east coast of the quiet, baffled scientists measuring these anomalies, a singular, undeniable truth is beginning to take shape. The world we live in is speaking. Can you feel it? It is a sensation that many of us, especially those with a heart attuned to the spirit, have sensed for months, a feeling that the physical world is restless, that the very foundations of the earth are reacting to a shift that is far deeper than weather patterns or magnetic fields. Why should this matter to you right now in the comfort of your home? Because these aren't just random curiosities. They are signals. They are a call to attention for every believer who looks at the horizon and wonders what time it truly is on God's clock. As a small thank you for joining us today, we offer a moment of shared blessing. Comment with the word faith if you are open to receiving a special final thought dedicated to everyone participating. And please press like if you appreciate these moments. Stay with us, because as our story unfolds, we will uncover perspective on these natural mysteries that might truly surprise you. We're going to look past the fear-mongering of the news cycle and open the ancient wisdom that tells us exactly what is happening when the earth begins to tremble without a cause. The Apostle Paul, writing to the Romans, gave us the lens through which we must view these events. He didn't speak of tectonic shifts. He spoke of a spiritual condition. In Romans 8, verse 22, the Douay Rheims version tells us, "For we know that every creature groaneth and travelleth in pain, even till now." Creation is not a dead, static stage where we live out our lives. It is alive, responsive, and deeply connected to Creator. When the river reverses and the mountain breathes, it is not an error in the code of nature. It is the groaning of a creation that recognizes the urgency of the hour. It is a physical echo of a spiritual reality that is pressing closer to the surface. But if the land and water are reacting this strongly, what does it mean for the creatures that inhabit them? The signs are about to get even more personal, and they are happening in our own backyards. If the rocks crying out and the rivers reversing course were the initial whispers of a changing world, then the animal kingdom has provided a shout that demands our attention. Throughout history, from the days of Noah to the present, the beasts of the field and the birds of the air have often acted as nature's first line of defense, a living alarm system tuned to frequencies that human ears simply cannot hear. Now, across the American heartland and along our vast coastlines, that alarm is ringing. Consider the skies above the Central Flyway, a migration superhighway that birds have followed instinctively for centuries. It is a route etched into their DNA by the Creator. Yet, recent reports from bird watchers and biological surveys describe a scene of utter confusion. Entire flocks of geese and ducks, which should be flying with purpose, have been seen circling in frantic, disjointed loops. Starlings, known for their precise, cloud-like formations, gather in the thousands but refuse to depart. Experts scramble to blame wind patterns or temperature shifts, but the data didn't match. These creatures weren't fighting a storm. They were reacting to an invisible barrier, a shift in the very magnetic or spiritual atmosphere that guides them. The phenomenon is not limited to the air. Along the Atlantic shoreline, seasoned fishermen, men who have spent their lives reading the water, began reporting sights that made them question the tides. Dolphins appearing in shallow, stagnant bays where they should never be. rays swimming in tight, anxious spirals near the surface. These animals weren't sick or dying. They were redirecting themselves. They were responding to a vibration in the water, a pressure rising from the deep that our instruments fail to register, but which their sensitive instincts could not ignore. Perhaps most unsettling of all are the stories coming from the ranches of Colorado, Montana, and the Dakotas. In the American West, a horse or a head of cattle is more than just an animal. They are partners in life on the land. Ranchers know their behavior better than anyone. They began to notice livestock hesitating at gates they had walked through every morning for years. Horses, sensing something imperceptible to their riders, refused to step onto familiar trails. Deer were seen gathering near busy roads they normally avoid, driven by an instinct to flee something in the wild. This wasn't panic. Panic is loud and chaotic. This was a refusal. It was a collective pause. Biologists have ruled out predators and disease, leaving us with a more profound conclusion. The trigger came from beneath the threshold of human perception. The Bible reminds us that creation is not passive. It observes. It waits. And right now it is reacting. When three distinct domains of life, the sky, the sea, and the land, shift their behavior in perfect synchronization, we must stop calling it a coincidence. We must start calling it a witness. The animals are sensing a change in the frequency of the earth itself. They are preparing. And if the creatures of the earth are looking around in confusion, perhaps it is time for us to look up, because while the animals were reacting to the ground beneath them, a phenomenon was forming high above the East Coast that would turn the night sky into a mystery no meteorologist could explain. While the creatures of the earth were quietly signaling a shift in the natural order, humanity's attention was suddenly drawn upward. It began with a color that defied explanation. Residents along the East Coast, stretching all the way from the historic shores of Virginia up to the rugged coast of Maine, reported witnessing the same eerie spectacle. It was a band of intense orange light, stretching across the horizon like a burning ribbon. It was too wide to be a sunset, too bright to be atmospheric haze, and it lingered long after the sun had safely dipped below the edge of the world. This wasn't the warm glow of city lights reflecting off clouds, nor was it the smoke from distant wildfires. Meteorologists, staring at satellite imagery, were baffled. The maps showed clear skies, no dust plumes, no volcanic particles, no thermal inversions. Yet the sky glowed. Witnesses described it as a living thing. In several locations, the light didn't just sit there. It shifted. It pulsed rhythmically, brightening and fading like a slow, cosmic heartbeat. It didn't feel like weather. It felt like a signal. And then came the sound. Moments after this strange luminescence appeared, a low, sustained hum began to roll across the region. It wasn't the sharp crack of thunder or the roar of a passing jet. It was a tone so deep and steady that it seemed to vibrate through the very framework of family homes. It rattled windows and caused china in cupboards to tremble, lasting anywhere from 30 seconds to several minutes before vanishing as abruptly as it arrived. Acoustic experts were left scratching their heads. The frequency matched nothing in their databases. Not industrial machinery, not military aircraft, not even seismic resonance. It came from the sky, yet it carried the weight of the earth. For the faithful, looking up at a sky that pulses with unknown light brings to mind the ancient prophecies that we hold dear. We are reminded that the heavens are not merely a backdrop for our days. They are a billboard for God's timing. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus speaks clearly about the days of great transition. Luke 21, verse 25 in the Douay-Rheims translation tells us, "And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, by reason and confusion of the roaring of the sea and of the waves." These signs in the sky, the lights, the colors, the unexplainable sounds, are not random displays of physics gone wrong. They are described in Scripture as precursors. They are the heralds of a larger unfolding pattern. When the sky shifts color unnaturally, it represents a transition, a threshold being crossed. It is a reminder that we are living in a time where the spiritual is pressing against the physical. But as our eyes were fixed on the heavens, wondering what message was being written in the clouds, the ground beneath the American heartland was quietly preparing to answer. The sky had spoken. But the Earth was about to reveal a secret that had been buried in the darkness for generations, a discovery so precise and inexplicable that it would challenge everything we thought we knew about the history beneath our feet. While the nation's eyes were fixed on the strange lights above the East Coast, the next sign emerged from the very soil of the American heartland. It happened quietly, suddenly, and in a manner impossible to dismiss as mere geology. In rural Oklahoma, a state familiar with the shifting earth, a sinkhole opened in a pasture. At first glance, it seemed like an ordinary depression in the landscape, but as the ground continued to fall away, it didn't reveal rubble or random fractures. It revealed a secret. Embedded far below the topsoil was a symmetrical stone foundation. This was not the chaotic work of nature. The stones were carefully shaped and fitted together with precision that suggested intentional construction by human hands. Even stranger, geologists confirmed that the material wasn't local to the region. When emergency crews brought in ground-penetrating radar to assess the stability of the site, they were stunned. Beneath the opening lay a perfect geometric layout, straight lines and clear boundaries of a structure designed, built, and then deliberately buried. Archaeologists were baffled. While Oklahoma has a rich history of indigenous cultures, the architectural style uncovered here matched no known record of the Spiro people or Mississippian cultures. It appeared to be older, a remnant of a time forgotten by history books but preserved by the earth itself. As one investigator quietly noted, the ground didn't collapse. It revealed. For the believer, there's a profound spiritual lesson etched into these stones. Throughout biblical history, buried things emerge only when the moment is right. The earth acts as a vault, holding truths until the appointed time of disclosure. Jesus himself reminded us in Luke 12, verse 2, "For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, nor hidden that shall not be known." This discovery isn't about archaeology. It is about the nature of truth. God often shakes our physical foundations to remind us of the only foundation that truly lasts. When the world reveals its hidden past, it is an invitation for us to examine our own hearts. It is a reminder that we stand on the solid rock of Christ, a foundation that no sinkhole can swallow and no time can erode. If this message resonates deep within you, and you feel moved to affirm your faith right now, simply type Amen in the comments below. Let it be a digital declaration that your foundation is secure in Him. The discovery in Oklahoma suggests that pressure is building beneath the surface, pushing hidden things into the light. But while the earth was opening up to reveal the past in the south, a silent and heartbreaking transformation was taking hold further north. In the fertile fields of the Midwest, something was happening to the trees, a sudden, mysterious withering that would leave farmers searching for answers that science could not provide. While the earth in Oklahoma was revealing its ancient secrets, a much quieter, yet deeply alarming transformation was taking hold in the agricultural chest of America. In Iowa and Nebraska, states renowned for some of the most fertile soil on the planet, farmers witness a phenomenon that defies biological logic. Entire rows of trees, guardians of the fields that have stood for generations, began to wither not over weeks or months, but within mere hours. Imagine waking up to find the majestic oaks and maples that line your property turn brittle and brown, their leaves curled as if scorched by an invisible fire. There was no drought to blame. There were no swarms of locusts, no signs of chemical burns, and no creeping disease. Biologists who analyzed the sap samples found something that chilled them. The cells had ruptured suddenly. It was as if the trees had received a command to simply stop functioning. The life force was cut off, not from the branches down, but from the inside out. For those of us who study the Word, the image of a tree withering instantly carries a weight that goes far beyond agriculture. It brings us back to the Gospels, to a moment of profound revelation. In Mark 11, verse 20, KJV, we read, "And in the morning, as they passed by, they saw the fig tree dried up from the roots." Notice the detail. From the roots, Scripture uses the sudden withering of a tree as a powerful metaphor for spiritual reality. When the roots, the unseen connection to the source of life, are compromised or judged, the visible result is immediate. The trees of the Midwest are not just dying, they are signaling. They are a living parable telling us that the underlying pressures affecting our land have reached a critical threshold. It is a sign that we cannot rely merely on external appearances of strength. We must ensure our own roots are drinking from the living water of Christ. But the silence of the dying trees was soon replaced by a sound that refused to be ignored. Shift your attention now to the bustling coastlines of New York, Rhode Island, and Boston. Late one evening, residents in these densely populated areas began reporting a sensation that was felt as much as it was heard. It was a deep, continuous hum, a low-frequency vibration that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere all at once. It wasn't a violent shaking of an earthquake, nor the roar of a jet engine. It was persistent, like the idling of a massive machine buried miles beneath the pavement. Acoustic sensors confirmed the sound existed, but they couldn't trace it. It had no direction. It moved through the air and the ground alike, causing windows to tremble in their frames and family pets to hide in fear. It was an internal sound originating from the environment itself. The earth was resonating. It was groaning. We are seeing a landscape that is reacting, trees that disconnect from life, and rocks that cry out in vibration. These are not just random anomalies in the weather report. They are pieces of a puzzle that are slowly sliding into place. And when you step back and look at the timeline, the river, the animals, the lights, the sinkholes, the trees, and the hum, you realize that they are not happening in isolation. They are happening together. But why? What is the thread that connects a withering tree in Nebraska to a mysterious vibration in Boston? Stay with us, because in the next chapter, we are going to pull these threads together to reveal a pattern of synchronization so precise, it suggests that a single unseen hand is orchestrating the movement. To join our community and never miss an inspiring story, consider clicking like and subscribing to the channel. The full picture is about to come into view. By themselves, any one of these events could be dismissed. A geologist might explain away a single mountain tremor in Colorado. A marine biologist could perhaps find a theory for why fish are behaving strangely in the Gulf. A meteorologist might shrug off the colorless sky over the Midwest as a rare atmospheric quirk. But we are no longer looking at isolated incidents. We are looking at a map that is lighting up everywhere at once. When you place these events side by side, a different picture begins to emerge, one defined not by disaster but by synchronization. The water shifts, the mountains pulse, the animals redirect, the sky changes color, the earth reveals buried secrets, and the vegetation withers. Different elements, different locations, different scientific mechanisms, yet all moving in the same direction within the same narrow window of time. This is the definition of convergence. It brings to mind the image of an orchestra. Before the symphony begins, there is a moment where the instruments tune up. It sounds chaotic, a violin here, a trumpet there. But to the conductor, it signals that the performance is about to start. The earth is tuning up. The Bible does not fear these patterns. It acknowledges them. It tells us that creation is intimately tied to the Creator's timeline. To join our community and never miss an inspiring story as we continue to watch these signs together, consider clicking like and subscribing to the channel. We are building a family of believers who are awake and alert. The synchronization we are witnessing extends beyond the natural world. Jesus spoke of a time when the shaking of nature would mirror the shaking of nations. In Matthew 24, verses 7 to 8 KJV, he warned, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." Note the phrase, beginning of sorrows. In the original Greek, this refers to birth pains. This is the key to understanding our current moment. Birth pains are rhythmic. They start slow and far apart, but as the moment of delivery approaches, they become more frequent, more intense, and harder to ignore. What we are seeing across America, the hum, the cracks, the rising waters, are the contractions of a planet that is preparing to deliver something new. If water, land, sky, creatures, and vegetation are all shifting in sync, then the real question is no longer what is happening. The question is, why now? Why are these signs appearing together in this specific generation? They are not here to frighten us. God does not deal in fear. He deals in preparation. They are here to invite awareness before the next stage reveals itself. Patterns do not form by accident. They form to be noticed. And once you see the alignment, the way the groaning of the earth matches attention in the nations, you cannot unsee it. The stage is being set. The lights are dimming. The curtain is twitching. But if this is the setup, what is the finale? Is this truly the end of the world as we know it, or is it the beginning of the promise we have been waiting for all our lives? The signs are not a death sentence. They are a herald. In our final chapter, we will look past the signs of the Savior and answer the question that is on everyone's heart. Are we ready for what comes next? Stay with us, because the most important truth is yet to be spoken. With the rivers reversing, the earth trembling, and the skies pulsing with unknown light, it is only human to feel a flutter of anxiety in our chests. We look at the news, we see the wars and rumors of wars, and we hear the term end times whispered with a trembling voice. But I want to ask you a question today, one that might change everything about how you view these signs. Whether the end times are not a deadline to be feared, but a promise to be embraced? Many of us have been taught to look at the book of Revelation as a script for disaster. We imagine fire, destruction, and chaos. But when we truly read the words of Jesus and the prophets, we find that the end of this age is not about the world falling apart. It is about the world falling into place. It is the beginning of something better. It is the restoration of the garden that was lost. The Bible tells us that Jesus came to earth the first time as a baby in Bethlehem, humble and quiet. But the signs we are seeing now, the groaning of creation, are the footsteps of a king returning to claim his kingdom. Revelation 21 verse 4 gives us the most beautiful description of this final reality. In the Douay-Rheims version, it says, "And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and death shall be no more, nor mourning, nor crying, nor sorrow shall be any more, for the former things are passed away." Think of that image. The creator of the universe bending down, like a loving parent, to wipe the tears from your face. The fear of the shifting earth, the worry about the future, the pain of loss, all of it wiped away in an instant. That is what these signs are pointing toward. They are the birth pains of a world where fear no longer exists. So, how do we live in the meantime? Do we hide? Do we panic? Do we obsess over dates and charts? Absolutely not. Jesus was very clear in Mark 13, verse 32. "But that day or hour no man knoweth, neither the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but the Father." If the angels don't know, and the Son was content to leave it in the Father's hands, then we must stop speculating. We must stop letting false prophets and date setters steal our peace. Instead, we are called to be like the faithful servants in the parable of the nobleman. He didn't tell them when he was coming back. He simply gave them resources and said, "Occupy till I come." He told them to get to work, to love their neighbors, to feed the hungry, to share the truth, and to live as lights in a darkening world. The servant who hid his talent in fear lost his reward, but the servants who were busy doing their master's work were greeted with joy. That is our assignment right now. We don't need to know the when, because we know the who. We know that the one who is coming is the same one who died for us. The world is fragile. The ground may crack, and the trees may wither, but your foundation is solid. You are held by a hand that never shakes. As we watch these signs unfold, let us not lift our hands in despair, but lift our heads in hope, for our redemption draweth nigh. As we conclude on this promise of his return, we invite you to declare your faith. Comment "Jesus is King" below to affirm this truth with us. And your journey doesn't have to stop here. Click on the video appearing on your screen now for another powerful message we prepared for you. God bless you, and keep looking up.